All right, all right. We are back again with Christina. Hey, Christina.
Hey, you damn.
Say hello, Christina.
Christina.
All right, we're gonna have to put that in a small voice for you again.
Why? That's the staple now.
Fix your mic.
Oh, you want me to? Oh.
Okay, so we were talking about Christina's another verse that she loved very much, and that verse is Joshua chapter 1, and it's like a combination of verses 9 and 5. So we're going to read 9 first, and then we're going to read 5. And it says, "Have not I commanded thee, be strong and of a good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee." Okay, Christina, tell us more about this verse, or why do you love it so much?
Why do I like this verse? Because it's awesome. I don't know. How do I say this? I feel like at this time in my life, oh, I messed up with something again. Sorry. At this time in my life, I'm on was a David rampage, where no matter how big the battle, you always want to take it head on because you know God's gonna help you through it. So I like that verse for one. Like reassurance in a way, or is reassurance that just because you aren't of what's considered a higher value or a higher statute as somebody else doesn't mean that God won't take you through something.
And since you said that, then I guess the more fitting verse, talking about taking things head on, the more fitting verse would be Deuteronomy chapter 7. And it says, let's go with 24. "And he shall deliver the kings." Let's go 23 and then 24. "But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction, until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee, until thou have destroyed them." So I would say that's a more fitting verse.
Or
because when you mentioned you're under a David rampage, where you just face any battles head on, I would say this is more fitting for that, because again, this is showing God is saying, listen, I'm going to destroy their name from under the heaven. Nobody's going to stand in front of you, before you.
Yeah, Joshua did his I'm putting my customer service voice on. Joshua did his head-on battles too, if you will, because in the journey beforehand, when they went into the land to see if it was flowing with milk and honey, he was one of the few that said, "We can take it. God says ours, we can take it." And then later on in the rest of Joshua, you see the battles that they endure, and he's proclaiming once again, God says it's ours. We're going to prevail. So let's do it. Like, have no fear. God is here. Yeah.
And that is a fact. Because like you mentioned, in the beginning when they went to spy out the land, and Joshua and Caleb were only two that came back with good reports. And everybody else, the other spies, they said, no, it's too much. The people are giants. We're grasshoppers in their sight. And Joshua and Caleb said, no, God has given us this land. And the Bible says Joshua and Caleb were of a different spirit. You know? So absolutely, Joshua, I would say Joshua did have a wonderful run. And it seemed like there was no cowardice in Joshua whatsoever.
Right.
Throughout the whole time we're reading about it, and he would always whip the children of Israel back into shape. Like, why haven't you gone over and taken the land yet? for the other tribes who haven't already taken their possession, God has told you to go and take the land. Why haven't you taken the land yet?
Right.
You know, so definitely in his run, he didn't play. He didn't play. But then, of course, we see again after he died, they rebelled against God again. God had to raise up somebody else to come and deliver them.
Mm-hmm.
But what more do you have to share about that verse?
About the first one, initial ones you read.
Yes.
Nothing off the top of my head right now that I can recall at this moment, time and place.
Okay. But definitely, this was a great talk about these two verses. Joshua chapter 1, verses. We read it backwards. We read 9 and then 5.
Mm-hmm.
But Joshua chapter 1, verses 5 and 9. And I would encourage you guys to read the book of Joshua. Read Joshua's quote unquote apprenticeship under Moses. And see where Joshua came from. See when he went to spy out the land until all the way of leading Israel into the promised land, and reading his story, and be encouraged, because there are a lot of examples that we have to follow and that we could draw strength from and see that things we're going through, there's nothing new. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing new. It's done already. As Solomon said, there's nothing new under this.
When you said his apprenticeship under Moses, you remember when we were reading the other day with Exodus, and we were wondering about who went up in the mountain with him, and the only one that went furthest, if you will, if not all the way, was Joshua.
Exactly. Because when we were reading it, I was like, did he go all the way? Still unsure. However, Joshua was the one that went up in the mountain with Moses.
Close,
because they were the two that left everybody else with Aaron and all the other elders. Mm-hmm. And then when they were coming back down, you see, Joshua said to him, "Oh, there's war in the camp." And Moses said, "No, it's not the sound of war." Because Moses already knew what was going on, because God told him, "Your people have corrupted themselves."
Because he was one of the ones holding up the hand too, right?
I believe so, yes. Holding
for
up.
The war.
No, we're going to have to find that verse and put it on the screen. But pretty much it was a battle. It was a battle between Israel and I forgot what other nation. And Moses was standing, and when Moses would raise his hand, they would win. And when Moses would lower his hand, the other nation would be beating Israel. And two people were next to Moses and put him to sit on a rock. And one held up his right hand and another held up his left hand. So,
do you remember the names?
I don't remember the names, but remember, Joshua was the one. No, Joshua's name was still. Because from the beginning, O'Shea, I believe is the O'Shea, and then called him Joshua. But still, Joshua, I believe, was the one leading the charge in the battle. Yeah. And then when Moses held up his hand, they would win until they completely destroyed.
Okay, so that's nation. A verse for review.
Yes, that what we're gonna have to look up, and I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, it was two people. I don't remember if Joshua, he might have been there, one holding his hand up, or he might have been leading the charge in the battle. But either one, we'll put it up on the screen. We'll go research, and this is why it's beautiful to study and review and go over these verses. And also, I remember the time where the glory of the Lord came down on the tabernacle, and Moses couldn't go in because the glory of the Lord came down on the tabernacle. The cloud came down. But there was a time where Moses was the only one who was permitted to go in, and it was Moses and Joshua were inside. And when Moses came back out to talk to the people, Joshua remained inside. So we're seeing Joshua was being groomed for this role his entire existence. Let's see.
Don't find it for you.
No.
You got it.
Let's just find it. After.
Joshua's battle of Jericho. Jericho.
All right, so yeah, it's just something for after. Just find and put it on the story. But well, you know what? Moses grew weary. His hand. Oh.
Or you gotta put it on the one side.
Okay, so we found it. It is Exodus chapter 17, and we'll start at verse 9. It says, And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us out men, and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up on top of the hill. So it was Aaron and Hur.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Joshua leading the charge, because
Mm-hmm.
Joshua chose out the men and Joshua went to lead the charge. And it says they went up on top of the hill, and it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, and the one on the one side, and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And the Lord said unto Moses, Write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. So we see again, God is very big on remembering, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people will look at it as you're boasting or you're gloating when you tell them, oh, that's nothing to do because I've done this, this, and this,
Mm-hmm.
or I've done this, this. But not that you're doing it or speaking like that on your own strength, but you're speaking like that on, this is what God has done for me already. And it's the same thing David did.
Mm-hmm.
David said, you saw what I did? I did this to a lion and a bear. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
The same God who delivered the lion and the bear is going to deliver this Philistine. So when we look at it, it's like, remember these things so that you don't grow weary.
Right.
And whenever you do falter a bit, remember these things and draw strength from them, because God told Moses,
Yeah,
write it in the book.
They kind of, once they had the same coming up, because they both had great triumphs, Joshua and David under somebody, because David was under Saul and Joshua was under Moses, and then they come to rule and be the head leaders as mighty warriors. They started off.
But it would be different in a sense, and the reason why I would say that is because Moses was actually grooming Joshua for the role, while Saul was fighting against David for the role.
After he found out that
yeah,
he was coming to take over.
But remember, that was from early on.
No, but I'm not.
And then he was even jealous when he beat the Philistine.
I'm not more so talking about the leaders. I'm talking about like how God turned them into warriors. That's well-known warriors that when you look at them, you're like, okay, God is with them, because from the beginning they triumphed like this, they triumphed like that, and then here they go, they continue to triumph, because Joshua's leading. Well, before he did this, they went in, right? Or is this after they went in to spy out the place?
No, this is after.
After they spied out the place? Okay. And it's so, the only story you hear about is him and Caleb going into Rahab's house, almost being caught, right? You only hear about them overcoming what could have been their death, right? You hear about David overcoming what could have been his death, and then they continue to overcome in different wars, different battles, to then become leaders of war and battles, to overcome and to triumph once again in Jesus' name.
And that's why
they sound.
And that's why David couldn't even build the temple of God. He said, your hands have shed too many bloods. and shed too much blood, but he was a warrior for God, you know. But that's our thoughts on the few verses. Let us guys know what you think below, and we'll see you next time.